look at your career and where you're at today, is there anything you change?
There's nothing I'd change, because you know what, man, you ultimately gotta put you where you're supposed to be, and you end up where you're supposed to be if you're smart enough to stay on path. And man, I'm just hitting a stride right now.
All right, let's go and talk about being a combat veteran, because I don't know of anybody that I've spoken to that hasn't said, I read the book Black Hawk Down, or I've seen the movie.
Right. Yeah, when Mark Bowden was the author of Black Hawk Down, when he wrote that book, up until that point, nobody knew about the battle. And what I've told Mark many times, is just the fact that somebody wrote about it validated it. Because it almost got to be a point where it was a sort of a dream list. Did it really happen? I can't remember. I mean, I know I was there. 18 men were killed. We lost 78 as far as wounded. So out of the 150 or so guys on the ground, if you do the math, well over 70% got hit. If you make it out of something like that, you're going to spend the rest of your life thanking the folks who are on your left and on your right. Because I know, by the grace of God, the only reason you're there and here today is because those guys got you out of there. Do
you suffer with flashback?
No. No.
So there's no aftermath. There's not something that just lingers inside you.
Now that's a whole different question. Okay. If you've walked away from something where other folks didn't, or they were wounded, you're going to spend the rest of your life, yes, thanking the people around you, but there's also a strange sense, and it took me a long time to figure out what it was, but it's guilt. And the challenge is, what stays with you is the guilt for having made it out. And you can let that guilt do one of two things. It can motivate you, or it can bury you.
I find that amazing, Kenny, that you have taken that and actually turned that into a motivational roadshow to really bring people out of their funk and let them know that there's more to life than feeling sorry for yourself.
What I've found is most people sell themselves short. I don't know if it's so much feeling sorry for themselves as they sell themselves short. And what I want them to see is that they're not ordinary. Everybody is unique. Everybody's got a way of doing things. Everybody's got a gift. Everybody's got something to offer. And if you start seeing yourself as important, then you start acting that way. We fail to see how important we are, and that's what I want them to see. Because if you're going to ask me about Black Hawk Down or that battle, I will tell you stories about young privates and young sergeants. I'm not going to tell you stories about generals and colonels who, just by rank alone, are important. I'll tell you about the guys who no one would think would matter.
At what point did you ever say to yourself, I want to be on stage and I want to be a musician?
Always known it. Always knew it was going to be
When
that
did you
way.
start playing an instrument?
I played the piano all through school, just kind of taught myself. And then when I joined the Army, piano's a little heavy. Can't really carry them around.
A little tough to pack that one around. Hey guys, can you give me a hand?
So I started learning guitar, And we just became a big fish in a little pond in my hometown in Columbus, Georgia. Started opening up for all these country acts because we were given the choice. Do you want to open up for Blue Oyster Cult or the country act? And I was like, I'm not sure. I love Go Go Godzilla, but I don't think that we're going to fit in front of that. So put us in front of the country act. And lo and behold, everybody stuck us in the country market, and one road led to another, and I got a lot of people helped out, and we ended up in Nashville. And man, the moment, I think any person knows the moment that they stand up on stage that this is what they want to do.
Well, the first time I saw you, you got involved with Jake Peavy with Wood Jock.
It was fun being the pro among the pros, because those guys it was hilarious. They were nervous.
They were.
You're looking at Jake going, you're nervous.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, musician-wise, it's not hard to look good against those guys, because most of them were they were just having fun.
They were.
It was a lot of fun.
Let's talk about some of your songs and some of your music videos.
The music career it's a nutty world. It's a constant uphill climb it's like climbing a mountain, but you do it because you love it. And the hits they're fun, and you seriously underestimate the power of what a hit does. But when it comes time to where you do these shows, and then you start talking to fans, and this lady will be like, well, we drove from Ohio. Really? We're in Oregon. Why? You know, because we just love your song. And you start realizing the power of what a hit does.
Do you have a favorite song that you've recently recorded?
I do. We have, on the last record, Streetport to LA was our big one, and it did real well on CMT and GAC, and it kind of got us out there. And then we put out Gunslinger, and we had a fun video doing that with the rodeo guys. But my favorite song on the record, it's In God's Hands, and it's not something that would ever be a single, but It's the piano and a symphony, but I'm definitely an artist who's a Christian, and what it is in God's hands is basically when you start finding yourself out of sorts and you start finding yourself not being able to get the things accomplished, and you've been trying to force it down life's throat and it's not working out for you, it's really because you just haven't let it go. Because really it's in God's hands, and when you can let that one go and give it to Him, you'll be surprised how easy and quickly the answers will come.
All right, we've talked about a lot of things that you've been involved with, but now a book?
I know. How crazy is that? The book thing came so easy, and I don't mean it but life just, hey, you know, you should write a book. You're right, I should write a book. It's Ollie North. Colonel North has his own book imprint called Fidelis, and they came to me and approached me about this idea on you should write this book. So I wrote a little idea thing out, and they were like, great, we love it, we're going to run with it. And a year later, I hadn't heard a thing. And I sang the anthem at the World Series for the Yankees for Game 1, and they happened to be watching the Yankees at Game 1, like, hey, that's the dude who pitched us on the book. We should go back and actually read it. And they read the thing, came back, we love it. And so I wrote the book, and that comes out next year.
You give money away, and you also find a way to make money to give it away for a lot of charities.
When you buy a ticket to a show, you buy a CD, you buy a t-shirt, anything that has the Keni Thomas or the band Cornbread's name on it, it's gonna ultimately end up in the hands of the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. And what they do is provide college educations for the children of our special ops guys who are killed. We send them to college on a full ride. You know, we have well over 700 kids now whose parents in special operations never came home. And so, you know, we were going to pay for their college education. Why? Because that's what their dad would have wanted. And that's one of the ones I'm pretty passionate about.